it. Oh, now I have to wait for it to load. This is gonna take some time. I thought it was gonna be instant. All right. The bar is halfway full. I wish you could see the bar on your side. Okay, we're done now. Ready to go.
All right. I guess hello everyone. Welcome to WSOU Sports, presenting their own pre-show for the 2021 Euros. I'm your host for this show, Ryan Johnston, and I'm joined by a panelist of Jimmy Bliss, Joe Camarota, and Louis Pasculi. How are you guys all doing right now?
Oh, I'm so excited here, Ryan. I mean, we have a bunch of the world's best national teams going at it starting tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And international football is my favorite thing to watch. So I am like a kid on Christmas morning, just ready to see everything that unfolds in front of me.
I'm excited. I can't wait. I'm rooting very hard for Italy to win it all. So, and I also have a bet going on, which I'll tell you guys later, that I need a certain team to not win the Euros. So I'm excited for this, guys.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I haven't been on a soccer show, soccer podcast recently, so it's good to get back into it, to get back talking about football. And boy, do we have a lot coming up.
It's been a busy day. I'm fully vaccinated now, so happy with that. But, Joe, you talked about Italy, and why don't we just start out with them? They're a pretty interesting squad to me, and they're looking pretty strong, honestly, coming into this Euros, even though they missed entirely the 2018 World Cup. Especially they have Marco Verratti again. He was injured for that World Cup. So, can they make some noise in this tournament? I think they're really looking like a decent squad.
Yeah, so I'm kind of cautiously optimistic about them this year. So the reason that is we saw how well they did in their qualifiers. They didn't lose a game. They went 10-0. But if we look at that group, the second best team in that group was what, Finland or Greece? It was not a very strong group at all. I mean, yes, it is impressive to win 10 straight games and just sweep the competition, absolutely. But I mean, it wasn't that difficult to do, I guess, in a way, because the teams weren't really all that great. I think they'll get out of their group. I think they're gonna top their group actually, and I think they can't go far. But I think I'm a little bit concerned with their defense. Historically, Italy's known for their defense, but I think this year is going to flip around. I think their offense is zero. Even Insigne from Napoli, I think those guys are going to have it. They're going to do well. And Verratti in the midfield is obviously such a class player. We see what he does at PSG all the time, but defensively, they're a little bit older. I mean, we know, blanking on the guy's name, Chiellini. He's still out back there, and he's, in his 40s now? So I'm intrigued to see what happens there. I mean, goalies, Donnarumma, we know, I mean, we'll see what happens with him with all his issue, with his transfer issues and everything. I wonder if that'll affect how he plays. But overall, I'm cautiously optimistic.
I would like to see Italy go pretty far, but I honestly don't see them getting past the quarterfinals in this Euro quite yet. I think that when you get into these major international kind of cups, you need a bunch or at least one elite top 15, top 20 player in the world to kind of will you to the quarterfinals, to the semifinals, to the final. When I look at Italy, I don't see a single player that's a top 20 player in the world. I mean, I like Ciro Immobile more than most people in the world, but he's not going to scare most of the defenses in this Euro competition. He needs a lot of service. And I mean, I like Chiesa as well a lot. I think he's a very, very good player. I think he is going to become world-class very, very soon. But right now, give him another tournament and then we'll see him at his full best. But I do think that Italy, they're the best team in their group. I think that they're going to top it. I think Switzerland's a solid team. I think they're going to finish second in that group, but I don't think that Switzerland's better than Italy. But right now I do have Italy playing actually Belgium in the knockout stages. And right now I see Belgium as a better team than Italy. So I don't think that Italy progresses past the quarterfinals.
So I'm kind of on Jimmy's side here. I think that Italy is definitely going to win the group because they have a relatively easy group. And I think a quarter to semis is where we see Italy leave this tournament. And Joe, you brought up how you're skeptical of their defense, and although they're old, I'm not that skeptical of their defense because Chiellini and Bocchini, they've just been playing together for so long, and they've played at such a high level for so long that even if they're 45, 41, however old they are, I'm very confident with how they're able to play defensively. So I think that's gonna really help Italy because obviously, as you said, they're known for their defense. And Jimmy brought up a good point where they don't really have like that one star player that's going to will them into the further into the tournament as the tournament progresses. But it's going to be that defense that really helps them. And then Donnarumma is one of the best young goalkeepers in the world. He's really amazing to watch him and the saves that he makes. So I think that's going to be how they're going to stick with it and progress through the tournament. But then I would like to see them go far, being half Italian, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
I don't know. I mean, like, I feel like Juve wasn't like Chiellini and Bonucci. That's basically Juve's defense, right? And I feel like
And
they
Delict.
weren't.
Delict plays too for them.
Yeah, that's true. But I feel like they weren't as consistent this year as they were in years past. I don't know. I mean, maybe their age is getting to them a little bit because they just, fourth in the Serie A. I mean, Inter, who Jimmy claims isn't a big club, topic for another time.
They're still a big club, Jimmy.
But they kind of ran away with it this year. Juve wasn't even in the conversation by the end of the season. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like their midfield might be the strongest part of their team. Honestly, their midfield, maybe their offense. Ciro Immobile is really good, and so is Insigne. But I don't know. I really like Verratti coming back. They've got a bunch of decent midfielders. Jorginho out of Chelsea, he's decent. He's not amazing, but I don't know. Italy's a weird squad to me. I'm kind of surprised none of you guys mentioned Turkey, though, because I feel like Turkey, not a terrible team to come in second. I think Italy can finagle their way into first. But what are you guys' thoughts on Turkey in general?
I could see Turkey having a little bit of a dark horse run here, Ryan. I mean, they have a bunch of pretty solid players that play for some of the bigger clubs in the world. We have Soyuncu, who plays for Leicester. We have Unger, who's been playing pretty much around the world at this point. I think he's with Roma right now. And there's Çalhanoğlu, who's a free kick king with, I believe he's with AC Milan right now. So these three players are very, very good. Again, they don't have like one of those standout players. Their best player, I think, is Soyuncu, the center back from Leicester. But I do think that when you play against Turkey, it's going to be a little bit harder to break them down because they're going to realize they're going to have to play defensively. They're going to need to have all of their men behind the ball and try to score off of set pieces and off of counterattacks. And those are some very, very tough teams to beat, is your teams like Atletico Madrid's, your Burnleys, when you are playing very, very defensively and you capitalize on free kicks, on set pieces like that. So I can see Turkey. I think they're going to get out of the group as one of the third place teams, but I think their run ends there in the round of 16.
Yeah, I'm with Jimmy on that one exactly. I think that they're going to finish at third. I think their defense will help them there. I think they're going to capitalize on a few draws in the group stage to help them get that third. But overall, I don't think I have them in I have the Euro app. I was doing like tournament predictors the other day. I have them going out to Portugal in the what is it, round 16 or group or quarterfinals, whatever it is. But
yeah, but if you look at Turkey's history in the last just few games, they're on a 5-game unbeaten streak. They have not lost a game in the international stage for I think it was, you have to go 6 games back. I don't remember the opponent, but I like you said, I agree with you guys. Third team in the group, they're going to get in. But yeah, if they face Portugal, they obviously don't have the kind of firepower to go up against Portugal. But they are interesting because they haven't lost in a while, so that'll be something to look at going forward.
Yeah, I can definitely see them finishing second. I mean, just like Çalhanoğlu, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but his free kicks, oh my God, they're so ridiculous. They're so fun to watch. I do want to move on to what's probably like maybe the only interesting group to me, at least in the group stage. There might be one other group, but Group F, it's got to be the group of death for this Euro stage. rest in peace Hungary, because straight up they're just not getting out. they're not getting out of this group. You got who was it? Portugal, Germany, and France all in the same group. Like, that is just so ridiculous. Three of the favorites really all in one group. So how do you see this group shaking out? Portugal, you got the defending Euros champs. France, you got the defending World Cups champs, and Germany, the World Cup before that. Three of the major winners, the last three major winners for European competition were these three teams.
I'll start this one out. So I think that this is going to be another one of the groups where we see a third place team progress. And I'm going to go with Germany being that third place team that's going to progress. I think that Germany's getting a little bit underrated this year, especially. I mean, the spine of their team is the spine of Bayern Munich. And as you, Louis, and you, Ryan, know, as we've been discussing on PTVFC, Bayern Munich's one of the, if not the best squad in the world.
Best squad in the world.
Yeah, and we all know where Ryan stands. I think that they're the second best squad in the world, but they still have Neuer, who's a great goalie. They have some very good center backs. They have Sule, who's a good center back. They have Kimmich in the midfield, Goretzka in the midfield, Thomas Muller on the wing. They also have Sane and Gnabry. So that's 7 starters likely that are going to be stepping on the field for Germany. And I think that they're going to go pretty far in this tournament, although they do have a very, very tough matchup with France and with Portugal. They don't match up very well with the speed that those two teams have. And I think that Portugal will finish second in the group. They're a dark horse, I think. I think that they're going to do pretty well here in the Euros. I think that just with, Bruno Fernandes creating for Ronaldo, Bernardo Silva being great, João Felix, if he comes off the bench, that's absurd to have him coming off the bench. So I think that they're going to have a target on their back because they were the reigning champs from the Euro 2016. But I think that they can really take that with a grain of salt and be able to play very well. And of course, in first place, I have France. I think that they are the deepest squad in the tournament. And I know that Benzema got injured last week, and we don't know the severity. We don't know if he's going to be missing a lot of games or not. But even if he does miss a few games, I mean, their front line is ridiculous with their depth. You can move Mbappe to striker, and you can put either Coman, Dembele, or Lamar on the wing, or you can have a guy like Giroud, who won the World Cup just 3 years ago with France, and he did a great job holding up the play in that tournament. I mean, these guys up front are just unstoppable, I feel like. So I think that France is the best team in this group. Portugal will close second. Germany will come in third, but also come out of the group. Then fourth place, sadly, will be Hungary.
Yeah,
I'm gonna. Oh, sorry to cut you off.
you go.
Thank you. I'm going to actually flip-flop Portugal and Germany because, as you said, they are being underrated. I think they're being a little bit underrated. Much like Spain, they have something that not a lot of teams have. A lot of their players come from one or two teams. It's either Bayern Munich or Borussia Dortmund, and that's a majority of their players. They've seen each other a lot. They already have chemistry. Going from domestic to international, it's a whole nother game. They have to adapt to a new system. They have to get chemistry with their teammates. And if they're playing with each other domestically, then I think that's really going to help them going forward in the tournament. Now, I think, yes, there's a chance that Portugal can beat Germany, but I think the same chance exists for Germany to beat Portugal. So I think that Germany is going to be second. They have a very deep squad, not quite as deep as France, because in my opinion, France is the best team in the tournament, and France is definitely going to be first without a question. But Germany still has a deep squad, arguably deeper than Portugal. That's also going to come into play as the tournament progresses. But I don't know. I agree that Germany is being underrated, and I really think that they're gonna do well. And I still think Portugal will get out. I still think that they're gonna be the third team in that group, and they're gonna be able to move on to the round of 16. But for me, I have Germany beating Portugal.
Interesting. See, I'm with Jimmy on this one. I think it goes France, Portugal, Germany, and then obviously Hungary is going to finish last. Honestly, is Hungary going to get a point?
No.
No. They might score a goal, but they're not getting a point.
No, they're in the mud. But I think France, that Benzema addition, I mean, I remember, if you guys remember, they had a falling out with the team. He was like, he'll never be on the national team again. And then boom, they say, hey, it's like the Golden State Warriors of 2016 when they got there's like they just like, okay, we went 73-9, we didn't win it. I mean, I guess they won it. I mean, they won it the World Cup, but they said, hey Benzema, come join us. Like that's insane. The amount they could do with Benzema there too, considering how he's a very good facilitator as well, not only scoring, is insane. And that's something you couldn't do with Giroud. And midfield, I mean, you got Pogba and Conte's on insane form right now too. So, I mean, obviously the back line is also really good. That France team is literally a super team. I mean, I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here, but they're my pick to win the whole thing. I mean, I don't really see how they get knocked out, to be honest with you. Portugal, I think they're another great team. I think, like you mentioned, with João Felix coming off the bench and having Bruno Fernandes, Cristiano Ronaldo, who is still going to be able to get his. And I think Diogo Jota is also going to be interesting because we saw how well he was playing with Liverpool this season when he was healthy. So I think that team is another great team that's going to be there. Then Germany is just consistent. They're consistently good. And I think the fact that they're an older team actually helps them because there's going to have so much chemistry together anyway. And that youth infusion that they're going to have with Werner and Sane is also going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think, Lou, you said that Germany was coming second, right?
Yeah, I did.
I think I'm going to have to agree with you just because I think they're a little more well-rounded than Portugal. I really like the thing is France has such a target on their back right now because everyone knows that they're the best team coming into this tournament. So I really want to put them second, but I'm not going to. That's a little bit too hot of a take. But, just Germany, like, I feel like Germany is a little deeper than Portugal too. I mean, just at the goalie position, you got Marc-Andre ter Stegen, Manuel Neuer, Bernd Leno, and Kevin Trapp. Like, that is ridiculous. To have Kevin Trapp as your fourth best, or Bernd Leno, whoever you think is better, your fourth best goalie on the team. That is absolutely insane because these guys, Kevin Trapp's a starter I think he's still at Hoffenheim, right? And Bernd Leno, obviously, Arsenal, got to rep the Gunners. So, just at that position alone, they can basically just put whoever they want out there.
And he'll be the only Arsenal player in the Euros this year, right, Ryan?
Shut up, Jimmy.
It's Saka, no?
Is Saka? I don't even
made the national team for England.
Well, he won't be touching the field, so it doesn't matter. It's like he's not even there.
Hey man, if they win, he'll get a medal. So he's on the roster. He's on the team. All right. So you can shut up, Mr. Bliss. No, anyways, going back to Germany though, Serge Gnabry, Timo Werner, who Chelsea, a little rough, but when he was still in the Bundesliga, he was great. Thomas Muller, one of the most consistent players in the Bundesliga, very, very good player. And I mean, I can just list all the players that Germany has. I just think that moving forward, I think they, have a little better team chemistry because, like you said, Jimmy, it's basically just Bayern Munich. So they play together all year long already. They're going to know what each other does at this point. And, I think Germany will, muscle their way into that second spot. But speaking of Germany, they did actually lose to North Macedonia 2-1 earlier this year in March. I know they just beat Latvia, I think 7-0 or 7-1. So that was kind of a ridiculous victory right there. But against North Macedonia, like, they weren't even playing that bad of a squad. They had ter Stegen out there. They had Serge Gnabry. They had Kai Havertz, Goretzka, Gundogan, Sane, Kimmich, Rudiger, Chan. Like, these are all players that, could start for them on any given day. And they lost to North Macedonia, who literally has the worst odds. I looked it up on CBS. They have 500-1 odds to win the Euros, and they lost to North Macedonia. Do you think that this is either, maybe a red flag for Germany, or do you think, that Macedonia, maybe they're a dark horse candidate to do something?
Not at all.
Go ahead. Someone.
There's no way, in my opinion, that North Macedonia is going to do any damage in this tournament. On almost all of the rankings, they're 24th. I'm really not concerned about them being dark horse. I'm also really not concerned about Germany because of what you just mentioned. So North Macedonia and Latvia are kind of similar in the sense that I know 0 players from either team. That's how low key these teams are. And if Germany was able to beat Latvia 7-1 after losing 2-1, then I think they're going to be just fine. 7 is a large number. And they were able to put up a lot of goals, had a lot of offense in that game. And also, if you look at the North Macedonia game, they had 70% possession. They outshot North Macedonia by like 8 or 9 shots. So it really wasn't close. It just happened to be that they found the back of the net and Germany didn't. And you mentioned Kai Havertz in the beginning, but that's what I wanted to talk about last segment was Kai Havertz. I think he's going to be playing. He's going to be a player to watch for Germany because he's going to be in an attacking midfield role, and he's going to be playing so well throughout the tournament. I think he's going to be Marco Reus's heir for that cam role in the Germany squad. He's gonna do some great things this tournament. I'm excited to see him play. But as for North Macedonia, I really don't think they're going to be a dark horse, and I think Germany's going to be just fine.
North Macedonia to the moon.
Oh no.
No, but I mean, it would be crazy if they had like a Leicester type thing. But getting back on topic, I'm not really that concerned about Germany with that. I mean, it happens. I mean, we have to remember this was such a weird year with the way the sport was, with how condensed stuff was from the season starting late and everything, and COVID really not teams didn't really have a summer. I mean, well, it was a friendly game. Wasn't that a friendly anyway? I mean, at the end of the day, it's whatever. It didn't affect anything. I'm just going to chalk it up to a lucky win for Macedonia against tired Bundesliga players. That's really how I'm going to chalk that one up to. The Euros is much more important than a little old friendly. So, I mean, not that big of a deal to me. Not a red flag at all.
Yeah, and I have to agree with the two of you, Louis and Joe here. I don't take this with any seriousness. I mean, there are a few players that played in this game that probably aren't going to touch the field at all this tournament. I mean, Emre Can, who has been good in club level, but he's not going to cut it at the international level. Ginter, same thing. Gosens probably won't touch the field either. And so these 3 players who, I mean, I don't even think Can was called up to the national team for this tournament. So, like, I don't know why he was playing. He also played center back, which is not his position. But I guess Joachim Low is just checking things out and trying to see what works, what doesn't work. And clearly, whatever tactics he tried against Macedonia did not work. And I do think that with Joachim Low's final, ride here with Germany, as he announced that he's not going to be the manager after the month ends, after his run with Germany ends, I think there's going to be a little fire that's going to be under Germany. They're going to want to play for the manager who won them the World Cup in 2014. They're going to want to go out on a high note with him, kind of like the Bulls with their Last Dance documentary with Phil Jackson. They're going to try to win it for their manager. And I think that this Germany team, they're deep. I don't buy into this loss at all. I mean, superior teams lose to inferior teams in soccer all the time. Like Man United lost to Sheffield United earlier this season. We saw Chelsea lose to Arsenal. We saw Man United lose to Arsenal.
This man is violating. Oh my God.
I'm sorry, Ryan, but I just gotta bring up some facts. And you did beat Man United, and clearly the table showed which side is superior and which side is inferior. But I do think that
we won like almost our last 5 games of the season. Okay, so just
congratulations, you
take a
came in
that,
like
please.
8th. Good job, you came in 8th.
Thank you. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Will you? Yeah, you're happy with 8th. Wait, are you even in the? No, you're not in like the thing that Spurs are in, right? You're not in the.
No, I mean I thought we were gonna finish like 11th, so 8th is a little better than that.
It is, but anyway, back to my point. We see inferior teams beat superior teams all the time in every sport, especially in soccer. So I do think that this is just a one-off game that Macedonia put everything into, and props to them for winning, but I don't see them winning. I don't think they're going to win any games so far this tournament, but who knows? Crazier things have happened in the Euros. We saw Greece win the Euros in 2002. We saw Iceland go very far last time around. But I just don't think that Macedonia has it in them to go that far in this tournament.
I mean, like, all right, obviously Germany, I'm not concerned about Germany because I just made the prediction that they're going to finish second in the group. So, yeah, not a concern for me there. But Macedonia's group isn't even that great. You know, they have. Why did you have to put Villarreal in the chat, Louis? That is not fair.
I wanted to interject, but I wanted to let you guys have it. One word in Villarreal.
Anyways, their group isn't that great. The Netherlands are good. Austria is okay, but like Ukraine, like if they really play well, I think that they could finish above Ukraine. Like it's not that out of the blue. I mean, they'll probably get absolutely clapped afterwards, but I think that they could beat Ukraine out in this group. I don't think that's that crazy to think. What do you guys think?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't really studied that group too much because I don't really care about that group at all. I'm not gonna lie. But I guess they can. But I mean, they're just an irrelevant team. Like they're not going anywhere. They're not going to do anything. I know, like Louis said, I could name 0 players from that team. I mean, if they do well, good on them. But I can't give you a true in-depth and analysis of what they're going to do in this tournament, man.
And they do have an easy group, but even so, like I would take the Netherlands and Ukraine over North Macedonia. I can't even say their name right. North Macedonia. Regardless, I think that's a very good indication of how well I think they're going to do this tournament.
Yeah, I think Ukraine is one of these teams that's just like no one really cares about them too much. Like Joe said, like they're just gonna walk into the Euros. They're probably gonna be happy that they're there. They're gonna enjoy their 3 games, and they'll probably see themselves out. They do have a few solid players, like Zinchenko is pretty good, Marlos is pretty good, but ultimately they don't have the squad strength that they need to progress into the round of 16. If they do have a miracle run, I'll be the first to raise my hand and say I was wrong, and I'll come on the next podcast and wear something ridiculous. But anyway, I do think that Ukraine, they'll probably be 3rd, maybe 4th in the group, and they'll have a pretty quiet tournament overall.
Yeah, like Joe said, North Macedonia to the moon. I think they're the next Oral Roberts.
You did not just compare them to Oral Roberts. I know you did not do that.
My fault. I don't mean to disrespect Oral Roberts or anything like that, but I actually want to move on to basically the only other group that really interests me in this group stage, and that's Group D, because it's got England, Croatia, and the Czech Republic. And really, I want to talk about England and Croatia because that is a matchup that we saw in that 2018 semifinal for the World Cup when Croatia had that magical run, made it to the final, ultimately couldn't beat France, which was kind of expected because France is just so good. But do you guys think that England will get the better of Croatia this time?
100%, Ryan. Oh, Joe, you can go first.
So first off, I would like to say this. So on this other show I do talking about soccer, I made a guarantee. I guarantee that England would not win Euros. And if any of you guys know me, I hate Arsenal as a Spurs fan. Hate them insanely. However, I said if England win the Euros,
I'm just getting hit from all sides right now, dude.
They won't win the Euros, but God forbid England somehow manages to win the Euros, I have to buy an Arsenal jersey and wear it on the show. So, yeah, they're not doing it. But but back to your question, I think England's gonna top the group. I think Croatia comes in second, but I don't think England's gonna go far. I got England, Croatia, Czech Republic, and then Scotland finishing 4th.
Yeah, so I think that England is definitely a better squad than Croatia. Croatia's an aging squad, and they really had their golden generation in the World Cup and in the last Euros in 2016. But now they don't have a lot of the names that we're accustomed to seeing. Like no Mandzukic is in the squad, Subasic is not in the squad. So they're going to be relying on a lot of unproven players to score goals up front, which is what Mandzukic did to bring them to the World Cup final in Russia. And then Subasic was a great goalie for the entire run in Russia as well. And they've regressed age-wise, like I said, but I do think Modric is still a really good player. I think he's still a top 15, top 20 player in the world. Can he will them to bringing them to a quarterfinal or semifinal? I don't think so. I think that he needs a little bit more help. He needs another partner in crime. If Rakitic is able to turn back the clock a little bit and play at a very high level like he did for Barcelona, then I could see it potentially happening. Or Perisic as well, as he is now with Inter Milan. If he does very well and he's able to set up a lot of players, then I could see them potentially doing well. But as for England, they're just so much more complete than Croatia. You could probably have a second team of England play against Croatia, and they would probably win. If you had just their backups play, they would play them very, very well and probably win. I put money on that. But anyway, I do think that England, cream of the crop in Group D. I think Croatia will come in second, and then I don't think a third place team comes out of this group.
Now, Jimmy, I do have a quick question for you.
Yeah,
How
sure.
bad is Harry Maguire's injury?
It's not that bad. He'll be back. He'll probably miss the first game, and then he'll come back in the second.
Because I feel like that's going to be a big factor on how well England does this year. Because Maguire, for as much as people like to rag on him, he's been great this year. And he's a rock back there for England.
He's a fantastic defender. I mean, people like to make fun of him because he was expensive, but he's a great leader. He's really good in the air, and he's just an overall very good defender that every team kind of needs. He's huge for set pieces as well for England. I mean, a lot of times we saw in the World Cup, they would just kind of cross it to him and have him either head it across goal to someone or he would finish it himself. So I think that having Maguire at the back will shore up the defense completely for England.
Yeah, for me, England is a team that I'm actually very excited to watch. I think that watching them play is gonna be really fun. They're gonna play exciting style of football. They have pace. They also have a good defense. So they kind of remind me of Germany in the sense that they're really a solid team all around. And I'm very looking forward to watching Jack Grealish play. He plays for Aston Villa. I don't know if he will play though, because the midfield is kind of loaded. They have a lot of players who are going to play in that midfield role, and it would be unfortunate if Jack Grealish doesn't play, but there's a decent chance that he doesn't play. But when he does play, he's kind of got like raw talent. Like he's just all over the place. He might not stick to his position. He'll go left, he'll go right. And I like watching him play. I kind of have a soft spot for Aston Villa because FIFA a long time ago used to play as them, so I kind of like them as my Premier League team. Whatever, that's beyond the point. England is stacked. They have a lot of good players, a lot of young players as well. I think they're going to do damage. I think they could go all the way to the Final Four. And I didn't think that they could win the tournament, but now I kind of hope they do, so that Joe has to buy that Arsenal shirt. I think that'd be kind of funny if they won the tournament. I don't think they're going to though, because France exists, and I don't think there's really a team that's going to beat France, in my opinion. But this team is definitely going to be a fun team to watch. Definitely going to be number one in the group. And I'm looking forward to seeing them play.
I will want to touch on Grealish for a second. He should play. I think he's would be one of their best creative midfielders, if not the best creative midfielder on the team. However, this guy Southgate doesn't like him. For some reason, he just does not like Jack Grealish. And I don't know what type of formation. He's going to play five in the back, actually. I'm intrigued to see what he does in the midfield. But I feel like Grealish, he needs to play. He's amazing. He's an amazing player. He's someone like when you watch him play, it's like, wow, this is how the sport should be played. So if Southgate doesn't play him, which I think he won't because Southgate's an idiot, they got to sack him.
And one last thing before we move off of Jack Grealish, and he's been linked to Man United and Man City over the past few weeks. And I mean, there's no secret as to why he's doing that. Like, he's just been so influential for Aston Villa. When he was healthy, they were vying for a European spot, and then he ended up getting hurt. They fell down the table a little bit, but then they ended up beating Chelsea on the last day, showing how good that he really is and the rest of the team is when he plays. So I do think Jack Grealish, I would play him in the midfield. I would play a midfield three of him, Rice, and probably a Mason Mount. I think that the three of them would work very, very well together. You have your
Phil Foden. He's got to be in there. Or Foden. He's got to be in there.
Foden. I mean,
he has to.
I might play him on the wing. I don't know if I would play him through the middle because City's been playing him a lot on the wing this year. So
as long as he's in the team somewhere, then that's fine.
Yeah, I'd
So
probably.
he's got that Gaza haircut now.
Oh yeah, he's all blonde now. I didn't even recognize him. People say that he looks like Slim Shady now. So we'll see how good he plays with his blonde hair. But anyway, this midfield and this attack line of England is the best that I think I've ever seen from England in my years of watching soccer. Their defense isn't anything to write home about, but it is pretty solid. They're good enough to do the job. Their goalie situation's a mess. I mean, Jordan Pickford in net is not who you want to be bringing you to the promised land. But anyway, this team has a lot of potential. I could see them going far in the tournament, but I just can't see them winning this year.
Yo, Louis, I do have a question for you actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Why Aston Villa? Like, why would you out of all squads like
Because I
they
don't
don't have
know.
a huge transfer budget? Like,
Well, listen. So I was like 12 playing FIFA like 10 or whatever it was. And then they were really good. They were like 5 stars. So I was like, "Oh, this team's pretty cool." And then they had cool colors, that light blue and burgundy. Like that's kind of dope. So I was like, "All right, but then like as I got older, I was like, "Oh, dude, Russia Dortmund's awesome. They have yellow and gold. I love Marco Reus cuz he was on FIFA 17. Like and I like Matt Hummels a lot too. So then I kind of switched to Russia Dortmund more so than Aston Villa. But if I had to like one team, it would be Aston Villa.
Better than Arsenal.
better than West Ham?
Yeah, but West Ham's your guy, Louis.
Oh,
Like, you
West
gotta go
Ham
with
is like
West
my
Ham.
modern. Like I liked them last year because it kind of reminded me of Leicester. Like that's where my liking of West Ham came from. Like a small club that's playing really really well.
All right. Yeah, I mean I guess. No, I'm kidding. I'll let you be.
They were playing well.
About Lingardinho. Lingard's in the team now, eh? How about that?
Yeah, and he's actually doing well.
I know. I'm so happy for Lingard, man.
But if he plays like Man United Lingard, he is not going to be playing for too long for England. Let me tell you that.
That's
Oh, and
true.
Joe, I'll have you know that Aston Villa actually finished below Arsenal this year. So thank you for that.
You say that like that should be usual though, but now it's a question. If that's
I think it's an accomplishment. I think anything that we can get, we'll take at this point. No, I'm with you guys though. I mean, especially because Rakitic actually retired from Croatia. He's not playing international competition anymore. So, and no Mandzukic anymore. No Subasic. It's basically just Modric and Ivan Perisic. It kind of seems like out there for Croatia. So, yeah, this England squad, it's pretty deep, to be honest. Like, it is a lot better than I'm used to seeing England because obviously, Harry Kane's kind of been a mainstay up top. You've got a bunch of guys that you can kind of rotate out. You got Jadon Sancho. I think he should stay up there too. Marcus Rashford, Raheem Sterling, who know again
Sterling
how
shouldn't
Jimmy
play.
feels.
Sterling should not play. He's not a good player.
I'm with you, Joe. He's just a bag of paste. That's it. He's just a guy who can run and miss a lot of open goals.
That 18-19 season tricked a lot of people, but it didn't get me. Didn't get me, man.
He's a tapping merchant. That's all he is. He's a
Yeah, that's
product
right.
of the system.
All right, let's take a chill pill on the Raheem Sterling slander here. No, but even their defense is looking pretty good. You got John Stones and Harry Maguire back. Those are the two guys holding it down. That's pretty solid. And on the wings, you can have Kyle Walker and Trent Alexander-Arnold, and they can really just expose Kyle Walker's pace back there. They can just absolutely just do whatever they want with that. It would be really interesting to see if he can, just make a bunch of overlapping runs. He probably will because it's something he likes to do. But
I would like to jump in one more time real quick about you mentioned John Stones, and I am a little bit intrigued to see how he does back there because obviously we saw last 2 seasons ago, I guess he did not look that good, and then this season he looked better. How much does that do to Ruben Diaz? Kind of like how we see in Liverpool with Trent Alexander-Arnold, 18, 19, 19, 20. This guy looks like he's the best player in the world. This season, Van Dijk goes out, boom, Trent's not looking as good as he used to be. I mean, he almost like he was a Trent cover. Is Diaz almost like a Stones cover in a way, or has Stones actually improved himself this season? I'm intrigued to see how he looks in the national team without Diaz there, because I would say Diaz is better than Harry Maguire.
it's fair. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot to add to that. I think Trent is a pretty interesting player. You know, Liverpool as a whole just didn't do very well this year, so I don't think it's fair to put all of that on Trent. But yeah, you know, it is a fair criticism for both of them. But moving on, I guess let's talk about the Spaniards. I'm pretty interested in Spain because you know, they are one of the favorites. They have like 8-1 odds to win the Euros right now, but their longtime captain, Sergio Ramos, is out because he has had various injuries this season. You know, they're a historic powerhouse team, and they do look pretty solid, but they're a little lacking at the back, I think, with Sergio Ramos out. What do you guys think about Spain?
I think Spain is another team that's going to get to the quarterfinals, and that's about it. I don't think that Spain is a true contender this year. I mean, you have a bunch of players that are aging and not aging very well in the squad. Like you have Sergio Busquets, who now has COVID, so we have to monitor how he's doing, but he's not had his best season with Barcelona. At the back, a lot of their center backs are a little bit skeptical, and you pick a few players, but not your captain and Sergio Ramos, who I think is the third best player of this generation, only behind Messi and Ronaldo. I mean, he's a serial winner. He wins absolutely everything with Real Madrid. He's won 2 Euros, a World Cup, 4 Champions Leagues, 5 La Ligas, and 2 Spanish League Cups. So I don't know the quick math on that off the top of my head about how many trophies that is, but that's a lot of major accomplishments. And to have a leader like that in the back, someone I know he's in his mid 30s now, so he's not, a spring chicken, but he's someone that you need in a tournament, some leadership. So it's just an asinine decision to me to leave out Sergio Ramos, your captain, your legend, your leader, and bring in some of these other defenders that are not that great. I do not agree with this squad selection at all. And I know Luis Enrique was a former Barcelona manager, so he must have a thing against not picking Real Madrid players because there's no Lucas Vasquez, there's no Asensio, there's no Nacho Fernandez. I think Carvajal is injured, but if he isn't injured, I don't understand why he's not in it either. That's 4 players that would 100% be in my squad. As Lucas Vasquez is a player that can play multiple positions. He can play up front. He can play on the right wing, left wing. He's played right back this season. So I think that this is a really, really bad decision by Luis Enrique not to have Sergio Ramos. And I think it's going to come back to bite him.
Yeah, I don't think this Spain team's that good. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, your keepers are their starting keepers are 2 second choice keepers in David De Gea and in Kepa. I'm not gonna try to pronounce his last name. Defensively, without Ramos, that was a mind-boggling decision. Up front, you're relying on Morata to score goals for you. This team is just not that good. Let's be honest. I have them winning their group, but these 8-1 odds, I feel like I don't understand why they're doing that. That doesn't make any sense to me.
I agree. Also, I'd say that they don't really have a player that's going to propel them forward in the tournament. They don't really have like a goal scoring player like a Cristiano Ronaldo or like a Kylian Mbappe. They don't have that guy that can just kind of put the team on the back and just full send it into the next round. But losing Sergio Ramos also, they kind of lose a swagger as well because he brings a swagger. He brings a type of toughness to any defense that he's on. I mean, the Real Madrid defense has been so good for so long, and a big part of that is because he's standing there at center back. He's going to play his style of football. He's going to be a tough guy. And also, people forget how good he is offensively. I think that that's something that goes underrated and flies under most people's radar is that he's able to come up and he actually is pretty well in terms of passing the ball in the offensive third and also using his head as a weapon as well for corners and whatnot. So he's definitely capable on both ends of the pitch. And it's going to stink for Spain not to have him. But I agree with you guys in the sense that they're not a team that's going to do a crazy amount of damage. I mean, they're definitely going to advance for sure. But then after that, it's going to be rough sailing for them.
You know, I mean, they brought in Aymeric Laporte, who actually used to be French, and he had dual citizenship with Spain, and now he's on the Spanish national team. And he is Sergio Ramos's replacement, I guess, for this Euros. And, you know, he's not a terrible player by any means, but let's just be honest here. He's not Sergio Ramos. Like Sergio Ramos is kind of a one of a kind player. And I don't really think he's going to be able to fill in at the back. I think he's been a little more inconsistent for City than they would have hoped. And I don't really see how that inconsistency would just magically disappear now that he's playing for Spain, especially when, his partner at the back is probably going to be Inigo Martinez, who, obviously is not a terrible player, but he's not this Sergio Ramos caliber player where he's going to be able to cover for Laporte a lot. Laporte is going to have to do a lot of covering for Martinez maybe. They still have Jordi Alba back there. Hector Bellerin, I don't know. He's on the Euro squad, right? He made the cut, or
Yes,
did he not?
I don't know how, but yeah.
I don't know how either, to be honest with you. But yeah, they're not looking as intimidating as some of these other, big name nations are. I think Germany, France, and Portugal, that whole group pretty much is all more intimidating than Spain at this point. But I want to move on to another team who is moving forward without their captain in this Euros, in Sweden. They went through the whole 2018 World Cup. That was Zlatan Ibrahimovic, and although he came back for a couple of friendlies, I think maybe World Cup qualifiers this spring after coming back to AC Milan. He had a pretty good season for AC Milan too, despite injuries. He was pretty consistent for them. Do you think that this is going to be similar to the 2018 World Cup, where they're just going to, do well without him, or do you think they're going to struggle in his absence?
I think this team is not like the same team it was in 2018. I think they're going to crash out in the group stage, honestly. I don't think that this Sweden team is anything to write home about. They don't have a prolific goal scorer. They don't have a prolific name on their team sheet that you can point to and say, this is clearly their best player. This guy is going to be instrumental for Sweden going forward. I think that Zlatan, if he was there, it would be a completely different story. I think they go out of the group. I think they get into the round of 16, potentially go on a little bit of a run because that's what Zlatan does. But without Zlatan, I mean, he scored 15 goals in 19 games with Milan this year, almost a goal a game. Very, very good. And he would be their leader. Now that they don't have a leader, it's going to be tough for them to do anything. And filling his boots are the mighty Marcus Berg, Alexander Isaac, Robert Quisson, or Jordan Larson. And the only one I know is Alexander Isaac because he played for Dortmund for a few years, and he couldn't even make it with Dortmund. So none of these guys are really going to scare anyone. Like, I'm not trying to, have them take any offense to it, but there are no Zlatan. And I think that this team I think they got to rebuild and they got to, take the whole picture in. And I think that they're as good as done.
Yeah, I'm there. I don't really see anything going on there for Sweden. It's not really anything to write home about. Even with Zlatan there, I don't really think they're doing that much, to be honest. I'm just not that high on the team. I think they're crashing out in the group stages as well.
Yeah, because there never was really a team around Zlatan. He kind of did everything. I'm gonna miss his highlights because he has some crazy highlights wearing that Sweden jersey, like the bicycle kick and the crazy like scorpion goals that he would score. So that's unfortunate, and also it's kind of unfortunate that Sweden had some success after he left because that's a player who I would love to see him have some international success. But yeah, I think Poland is a little bit better of a team simply because of Lewandowski. Like he's so good, as well as Alaba. Not Jordi Alba, David Alaba, playing left back. So Poland has a few players that are pretty notable, but Sweden, on the other hand, really does not. I agree with you guys. I don't really think they're going to get out of the group, and I don't think they're going to do too well going forward, like even past this tournament.
You guys don't think that they're going to finish in front of Slovakia?
Yeah, in front of Slovakia. They're finished third, not last in the group. They'll finish in front of Slovakia, but they're not going to move on to the round of 16.
Okay. David Alaba is actually Austrian. I don't know if that changes your pick at all. But, yeah, Poland is a lot of Robert Lewandowski and not much else.
Right. I always get confused because the flags look so similar, but nevertheless, I still think that Robert Lewandowski is a guy who can put a team on his back, especially in a group like that.
Well, Poland actually
Slovakia
does have
could finish
some.
over.
Oh, you can go ahead, Joe.
Slovakia could finish over Sweden. I'm not gonna lie. I want to see if
Sheesh.
I have it in my bracket. I think I might have it. Although I do have Slovakia finishing over Sweden. I do. They have that guy from Inter Milan. What's his name? He was linked with Spurs for a while.
I don't follow Spurs rumors. I'm sorry.
Blanking on his name. He's a center back. I'm looking this up right now.
Talking about Skriniar?
Yeah,
Yeah, Skriniar is a really, really good player.
yeah. I mean, they have a chance. I'm also biased. I have 3 Slovak friends, so I'm biased towards Slovakia. I don't have any Swedish friends, so.
And to go back to your point about Poland, Ryan, I mean, they do have a few pretty good players. Like they have Szczesny, who's a good
Yeah,
goalie.
I forgot about Chesney. That's
Yeah,
true.
I also, he's very, very good.
Yeah, they have
Yeah, after he left Arsenal.
It seems like a common theme. Whenever players leave Arsenal, they become better. Apart from Alexis Sanchez, he was the one flop that left Arsenal and became irrelevant.
Yeah, you guess where he went too? Man United.
Yeah, Jose Mourinho, he ruined him, but we don't claim Jose Mourinho, so you can take that and put it somewhere else because Jose Mourinho, that era did not happen. If you're asking me,
Didn't he win a trophy with you guys?
yeah, he won the Europa League, but I mean, anyone could have beaten that Ajax team.
Isn't this a show about the Euros? No, I'm just kidding. I like the banter. I like the banter.
But anyway, I think that Poland's better than Sweden.
That's fair. Sweden really does need CJ Teebling, man. You know,
Yeah.
they just need to call him up.
They should.
You guys are all saying, they're lacking a goal scorer. My man scoring for Seton Hall all season long. Why not give him a
He's
go?
the perfect replacement. I mean, they're kind of similar.
Are they?
No, not really. Not really. But I mean, yeah, no, they're not. I can't really make that comparison. Ibra is one of a kind, and Ibra is a very special player.
Yeah, I mean, also I just don't. I think CJ Teebling's a little more
He's
softly
better.
spoken.
Yeah, he
You
doesn't
said
have the
he's
same.
better.
He doesn't have the same personality and swag as Ibra does.
Yeah, that's true. He's also just so much better. He's just way better.
Swag is one way to put it, I guess. You could call him some other words too that we can't say on air. But
Wow,
yeah, I'm not a
Zlatan
big
slander
fan at
coming
all.
out.
I don't like him.
Surprise.
I don't stand for any Zlatan slander. He was great with Man United, so I'm taking that to my grave. He's one of my favorite players of all
I
time.
thought you don't claim that era.
Oh no, well, I don't claim Jose Mourinho, but I claim Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
I don't know if you can pick and choose, brother.
It's my game. I get to do what I want.
Fair enough. Let's get a little bit back on track. I want to talk about Belgium because, I think Jimmy, I think you mentioned them earlier, but they're one of the most talented teams in the entire tournament. But I feel like the consensus kind of is that they're not really going to compete with France. I don't think they can compete with France. Or at least I feel like a lot of people think that. Both after, 2018 where they lost, which was kind of a heartbreaking game for them. That was kind of a tough game to watch, especially after France was just time wasting the entire overtime after they scored. That was kind of rough. And Eden Hazard, who was their best player in 2018, he just had a terrible transfer to Real Madrid. He's just been horrible there. So I feel like they've kind of been demoted on a lot of people's list because of that. But what's going on in Brussels? Can they really make a run for this Euro this year?
I'll start this one off. So I don't understand the Belgium slander. I mean, I looked at the world rankings and they are ranked number 1. That means not a single team is better than them based on the world rankings. And I know that everyone thinks France is better, and honestly, that's a given. Most people do believe that France is better, but a lot of people do like Belgium, and Belgium has a very, very complete squad. They have a very good manager. I would be very reluctant to say that Belgium doesn't have a chance in this tournament. And I do think that they're going to go very, very far in this tournament. I'm not going to spoil who I have winning the tournament yet, but I think that they do have a pretty good shot to win this tournament this year.
I think Belgium's crashing out right when they face Italy in the round 16. They're not a good team. Kevin De Bruyne's injured. He didn't have a good year. He won Player of the Year this year, but that was bullcrap. Their defense overrated. That's what we're gonna put it, overrated.
Those are a few of your Tottenham players in defense, Joe. I would.
They suck.
Alder
They
Weirwood.
suck now. They're not good anymore.
Wow.
I mean, Lukaku's good, but I mean, we'll see how De Bruyne doesn't he have like a broken bone somewhere? Who knows how he's gonna play in this tournament? If he's even gonna be able to be healthy enough to play. I don't. They're not gonna be doing anything, man. They're old news. Let's put it that way.
They're definitely not old news, Joe. It's definitely Italy that's the old news here. Italy is just a bunch of standing statues. They're all old, they're all slow, they're all terrible. Belgium's going to destroy Italy when they play each other.
You're just describing Belgium right now.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, you think De Bruyne, you think Tielemans, you think Lukaku, you think Dries Mertens. They're all old and slow and useless?
Yes.
All right, well, we'll find out.
Their defense is not very good anymore. I think De Bruyne's injury is going to be a big thing. I really do think that's going to be a game changer for them.
So I think Joe is like a month late for our PTVFC hot takes because this would have went really well for our hot take show that we did like a month ago. But Belgium is not old news. Belgium is okay in terms of quality side, probably second in the tournament. It's France, Belgium, and then Germany in terms of like straight quality, every position and depth. So I think if they lose, it's not going to be because their players aren't good. It's going to be because they're dealing with injuries or they're going against a better team in France or like Germany, who I said was a little bit worse. But regardless, they're pretty similar. The only thing though is the injuries. Like that's going to be big for them if they're going to be able to overcome those injuries. How like De Bruyne, like he had a great season. Like there's no debating that. I think he had a great season, but it's going to be, can he overcome the injuries and also the other players that are injured at the moment, no names I'm blanking on, but regardless, like Belgium is a really, really good team, not to mention March 30th. Now, Belarus, like whatever, they won 8-0 against Belarus or Belarus, however you say that, that team name.
Yeah.
And yeah, and they if you look at their team, that is not their number one team. Like they had quite a few subs in their starting 11, and they still were able to win 8-0. And if you
Belarus, that doesn't impress me.
Yeah, I don't think you can gauge a team off of how they play versus Belarus. That's kind of
look at their starting 11. It's almost all subs. I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, send the Seton Hall team out there. They could beat Belarus.
No, they can't. No, they can't. No, they can't. But regardless,
maybe Marshall could.
Well, but Germany won 7-1 against Latvia, and it made up for North Macedonia. So Belgium beats a team 8-0, and it makes up for their old statue-looking players. So Belgium's going to be just fine. Expect them to be in the semis.
Yeah, I'm with you, but I think Courtois is going to be interesting because his initial transfer to Real Madrid was kind of rough, but I think I didn't watch a whole lot of Real Madrid last year. I'm going to be honest with you, but didn't they win La Liga or am I tripping?
This past year it was Atleti, but the year before that Real Madrid won it.
Yeah, so obviously he's not doing terrible, and if he is doing terrible, Simon Mignolet is not a bad backup option. He played pretty all right at Liverpool for a few years.
Yeah, he's an elite goalie for Liverpool. I think that he's one of the greatest Liverpool goalies of all time, and I'm sure our producer Heaven will agree with that. He loves Mignolet.
All right, maybe not as good as I'm saying, but Alderweireld and Vertonghen, that's a pretty solid back two right there.
No, it's not. I think
it is.
No, it's not.
I think maybe Jose Mourinho was the problem, and it wasn't your players.
Jan stunk it up his last season there, and now he's playing in Portugal. And Toby all he could do is ping long balls. He can't defend.
What about Vermaelen?
Eric Dyer?
Thomas Vermaelen.
Oh. Are they going to start? Because I know they like to play Toby and Jan together.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not the Belgian manager. I have no idea who they're going to start. No, I think Belgium. I think you're kind of underrating them, Joe. I mean,
see, I originally had them going further. Then I talked to a friend, and he was like, "Yeah, they're not that good." And I'm like, you know what? You're making some good points here. And then boom, here we are, spreading anti-Belgium prop.
But the
wow.
difference is none of us are buying into it, Joe. We all
You'll
understand
see.
how good
You'll
Belgium
see.
is.
I'm gonna give you a call, each and every single one of you guys, after Italy beats Belgium.
I think we need to watch along, the three of us, whenever Belgium and Italy play, so we could decide the slander once and for all.
Belgium has not lost an international game in 20 games. The last 20 games they've played, they have not lost. And I keep scrolling up, and they keep not losing.
Yeah, I think you're going to be alone on this one, Joe. I love the hot takes, though. Get us those views, baby. You know what I'm saying?
I gotta respect the hot take. I love me a good hot take, but I don't know about this.
Yeah. Kevin De Bruyne alone, if he plays, I think that puts them above probably a third of the European competition right there. He's just he is very, very good. I don't know. I think Belgium is still very talented. I think they're going to do pretty well. I don't know if they're going to make the finals or not. France definitely going to make the finals, in my opinion. England might squeeze by Belgium. Yeah, it's going to be hard to see, but I just kind of did release my two picks for who is going to be in the finals. I think France is ultimately going to take it home. Are you guys with me? Is it going to be a sweep?
Yeah, I think we've said it throughout the entire show. France definitely has the best team. They have the second best player. It's going to be France.
Yeah, I got France and Portugal, but France and Mbappe, Pogba and Conte and Benzema and Dembele and Hugo Lloris and so many names. Yeah, they're taking it home.
I'm going to stand out a little bit here and not pick France. I think that France is going to lose in the semifinals against who we just talked about, Belgium. I think Belgium they show that they can go toe-to-toe with France in the 2018 World Cup semifinal. I mean, they outplayed this France team, and France was able to win off of an Umtiti header off of a corner. But now Belgium's been playing together for a few more years. They've been very, very good. And like we were talking about, De Bruyne, best midfielder in the world, one of the top 5 players in the world. Hazard, he hasn't been great with Real Madrid, and that's sugarcoating it. He's been almost a flop there. I mean, I just think that Lukaku's a goal-scoring machine, and he's going to just feast upon some of the smaller teams in the group stage while they get the chemistry all sorted out. I think that Toby Alderweireld, Jan Vertonghen, Axel Witsel, and Dries Merton will bring some leadership that they need, because every World Cup or Euro winning team needs to have some leadership. And these guys have all been there on the biggest stages and have been playing Champions League games, have been playing big spots for Belgium's national team. A very good manager in Roberto Martinez. And like Louis mentioned earlier, they are unbeaten since October 11th, in which they lost to England. But that game, it was 2-1. It was very back and forth. Could have gone either way. England did win. But I just think that they have everything you need in your squad to win this tournament. They have a good manager. They have 2 great players. They have a solid defense, a great midfield. We didn't even talk about Yuri Tielemans, who I'm a huge fan of. He's linked to all these huge clubs around the world. I think that they're going to have to run the gauntlet to win this tournament. And ultimately, I do think that they are going to take home the silverware for their final ride.
And Jimmy, to your point, I missed that game, but you're right. They lost that game. But other than that game, if you want to find Belgium's next loss, it came in 2016. And so that's honestly, I do think France is going to win, but that's a great pick by you, Jimmy, because Belgium is a team that has the quality to compete with France, as we saw, like you mentioned, in 2018.
They have
Jimmy,
too
who do
many
you think?
Spurs players on the team. They won't win anything.
All they got to do is leave Spurs and they'll win. I mean, you see that with a lot of players. As soon as they leave
That's right.
Spurs,
That's right.
yeah.
No hardware since the Audi Cup in 2008.
Audi Cup was 2019, but League Cup was.
League Cup 2008. Yeah. Jimmy, who do
Audi
you think is
Cup.
going to meet
We're the
Belgium in the
champions
final?
of Audi. You'll never sing that. Think about that real quick.
Jimmy, did you say who you thought was going to meet Belgium in the final?
I think it's going to be Portugal. I think Portugal. When I was filling out my bracket, like Joe was filling his out, and he mentioned that I have Portugal and England meeting in the round of 16. I think whoever wins between those two will play against Belgium in the final. So I picked Portugal to beat England in that game. So I have them going all the way to the final and then losing.
This man is in love with Bruno.
It's not
In love with
Bruno,
him.
it's just the entire squad. I just think that they're such a deep team. I have Portugal beating Germany in the semifinal too, and I just think that Germany is a very solid team. I think Portugal is a solid team. I think those two semifinals, if they are what ultimately happens between Belgium versus France and then Germany versus Portugal, that's the best semifinals I've ever seen in my life.
Fair enough. I think you're going to be alone on this one. I think France just has way too much talent. It's literally an embarrassment of riches for that French national team. So I think they're going to win off the talent alone. I think their national team could compete with some of the best clubs in the world, if we're being honest. But that's all the questions I actually had for you guys. Do you guys have anything else you'd like to add before we wrap this up?
One more thing. Jimmy, something that also helps your case is that football is not played on paper.
And it's good to know we trademarked that on PTVFC, Louis. So, no one can ever say that statement ever again.
I've been waiting the entire show to say that.
And honestly,
that's why Italy's going to beat Belgium.
Yeah, that's exactly why Italy's going to beat Belgium.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that the best teams in each tournament a lot of times don't end up winning the tournament. And a lot of times after a major tournament like this, the winning team has a little bit of a hangover. We saw that with how the German team was terrible in the World Cup. They weren't good in the Euros. We saw Portugal lost in the round of 16 of the World Cup in 2018 after winning the Euros. So I could see France obviously winning it because they have so much talent on paper. But I can see the trend continuing for sure with something that we're not accustomed to seeing, shocking us.
So why doesn't that mean that Portugal will have a rough go of it this time out?
Because these are my own rules, Ryan, and I get to make up what I want to make up.
All right, it's Jimmy's world. We're just living in it, I guess.
Yeah, so you all just live in the palm of my hand right here.
All right, Joe, do you have anything else to add?
I mean, I really hope England doesn't win it because I don't want to buy an Arsenal jersey. So.
Oh yeah, real quick, who do you guys think is going to win the Golden Boot for this tournament?
Go with Harry Kane.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yep.
Harry Kane, or if I'm wrong about Belgium, Lukaku. But I think
it could be Lukaku, but a lot of times he doesn't really score in big games. And since I don't have England going far, I'm not going to pick Harry Kane.
Benzema too, I could see.
I was going to say Benzema. Yeah, Benzema was going to be my pick for the Golden Boot winner.
All right. Well, there you have it. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to WSU Sports / PTVFC, I guess. You got all the members right here. Our preview of the Euro 2020 / 2021. We hope you all enjoy the tournament.